What's up, everybody? It's your boy T Fields here with Kimiko and our
Hi.
special guest, Lord Iceman of Tekken House, here for season 2, episode 10 of the BlerdSoup. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Iceman. Tell everybody who you are, what you do in this world.
What's going on? My name is E.Trayveon Maxwell, known to the community as Lord Iceman or Iceman for short. Uh, Originally from Philadelphia, but been down here in the ATL setting my bones for quite some time now. I am CEO and co-founder of TKN House Esports and Entertainment based out of East Point, Georgia. I run that with my friend Michael Edwards, known to the community as MIC ATL.
Oh, that's
Okay.
it? That's just a cutoff. I thought you
I want to
get.
give it. Now I'm used to being on the other side. I'm
Yeah.
normally interviewing, so you know what I'm saying. I have my 25 questions and I fill them in. So I don't want to just throw stuff at you. I want y'all to be able to,
Oh no, no, this is very clear cut and right to the point. We enjoy it. It's all about having a good time. So how did Tekken House start? Like, give us a detail how everything started with Tekken House.
um. Well, there's different facets when it comes to Tech House.
Okay.
The business side, and then there is the gaming homes and
Mm-hmm.
the friendships and whatnot. Initially it wasn't actually Tekken House. It was Jock the Godfather, who was very good in fighting games in general. And he had a home, a couple of roommates, and people used to go there to just game. And he took Tekken to a whole nother level
Mm-hmm.
as a player, and he established this community. So it was Jock. You had individuals like June Rowe, aka Doughboy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you had the original Truth, ATL Truth, Dexter Todman, who you all have seen with Anakin and whatnot.
Yep.
Um, and they got the ball. They got the ball rolling. I came in probably about 6 years
Mm-hmm.
after Jock got his run, and by then there had already been a second house created, and they labeled that house Tekken House because Tekken was their primary game. That had Killer Six in there, that had Sam in there, had Bane in there with Truth, Clint, uh, Shadow, and a few other people. Um, and from there, that was the Panola Road location. Uh, I used to go there and play with them. I was introduced to the rest of that community of people by Max Moore, aka 50 More Cents, and Joe Marino.
Mm-hmm.
His handle back then was Sorry as Hell. People used to actually look at his handle and think he was sorry, and they would get their butts whooped. um, and then I spurned the East Point version with my friend Wing Zero, Richard Warren. So we've had those main three phases, and over time, there's been little check-in houses here and there, or Street Fighter houses here and there, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. Um, but we created the business aspect um, because after a while, everybody had their own niche. Like everybody was doing their thing in their respective communities, but nobody was doing it the same. You
Yeah.
had Corn, and Corn was solidified in the Midwest. They had already been traveling and established themselves as a unit,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason they weren't getting the respect of say Empire Arcadia
Yeah.
and
MP. Yep.
Triforce had Sanford, you had Wong and them doing their thing, and then you had us here in the South. And believe it or not, we were dominating in 3D games,
Mm-hmm.
but people weren't really flocking to the South as like a major contender when it came to the games. And I was a competitor playing sports games and getting into fighting games heavy on a competitive level.
Mm-hmm.
And I was more like the cameraman and whatnot, looking up to the guys and them showing me how things were. And as I began traveling, I got tired of the disrespect. Like we would go places and they'd be like, "Oh, Georgia, Alabama ain't got no Marvel vs. Capcom 2 players," and stuff like that. And while being below average as I was willing to take on every money match there was and
Mm.
establish a name for my community because I knew that we were the shit. Like we were good we were good at Tekken. We had a very solid Smash community here. We were coming up in Guilty Gear. Uh, we had EMS, Elders of Mass Skills, which was Larry, aka Shin Blanca's crew,
That's my
who were
homie.
solid in
Yeah.
third strike, solid in alpha, and solid in super turbo. So when we had people like Jason Cole and them come or whatever, we
Mm.
weren't no pushovers. But for some reason, we still were not like we were still not spoken about in the realm of discussion of different cities and stuff.
Mm.
So first leg of the company was that. Um, Establishing our name in the fighting game scene and wanting to take it to a whole nother level and just being video gamers. The push came a little bit late. I was
late
doing
in regards to
late in the sense that we had so much time that we could have done this, but a lot of us didn't have the business mind
yeah.
or the acumen, I guess.
All right, because y'all
Um,
gamers at the end of the day. Y'all just gaming, doing tournaments, being
yeah,
pro. Yeah.
yeah, like we were gamers and whatnot, and we had these visions, but a lot of us weren't really sitting down saying, "All right, we need to go get the LLC. We need to get this name trademark." We
Yeah.
weren't really in it like that. So that's why, me personally, I look up to guys like All Caps, Adonis with Corn. You know what I'm saying? Triforce and Empire, because believe it or not, they were while we were still we still felt that we were established in terms of being solid. We weren't established on that level
Yeah.
where when we're going to these events and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? People see them as a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, that's ATL. When you see them and they're not just New York or the Four Horsemen, that's Empire Arcadia right now.
Yeah.
Be forewarned, any of them cats in your brackets, you going up against the best of the best.
Yeah.
Same with, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't have that, and by the time we established that, there was a break in the community where
Mm.
like new games weren't coming out as heavy.
Yeah.
Um, you had like a 10-year gap in between like all the CBS2 stuff that I mentioned and whatnot, and then Street Fighter 4.
Yep. Yeah. Four didn't come out to
Um,
2009. So yeah.
so we lost a lot of ground in that time. But we eventually got on it. You know what I'm saying?
That
Mike
was
and
like
myself.
it was like the
Yes,
dark ages of fighting games.
yes,
Literally.
yes. Like, although people will have their lovely stories of traveling and everything like that, but it
Mm-hmm.
was really bad back then. Like,
Oh yeah, that's when you had
um,
to go to Tekken Zaibatsu to get your updates on tournaments and stuff. And
mhm.
Shoryuken, like there was no everywhere forum for everything. It's like, yo, if you wasn't in the community, you didn't know where the events were, and then back then were all physical events too. I remember that.
Yep.
I mean, that's I guess the good old days because everything's all virtual now. But back then, if you weren't in it, you didn't know nothing. If you weren't in
You didn't know.
forums,
You didn't know. And mind you, though I was hanging around the guys and I'm at Underground, I'm at North DeKalb Mall, I'm at
yeah,
Shannon Mall, these different areas here in Georgia, and I didn't know until I was establishing myself more with those guys that there's a whole competitive scene out
yeah,
there. And there's a whole nother world. But I was explaining to them, like, oh yeah, man, like I'll be doing this Madden stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get on the Madden bus and whatnot. And they're like,
yeah,
oh man, we know all about that, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get the fighting games that way and blah blah blah. And I'm on the back end, like, well, why don't y'all do that? And they're telling me all of this stuff, and I'm like, man, like we can do this. And as the years piled on, we got to where we are now. But yeah, we wasted about 6 good years where we didn't fully take advantage of that. But I cherish those years because either way, you know what I'm saying, ATL is still ATL. Um, we are synonymous in, you know what I'm saying, the fighting game community, regardless. Um, so it is what it is, I guess.
definitely for yourself, definitely for
So,
yourself.
yeah, so during the because I remember before, prior to the pandemic, you guys were doing your usual house get-togethers as well as doing Tekken, like it was a Tekken tour.
Yes,
What was it called again?
TKN House Tour. We had 3 seasons, which were
Hmm.
pretty dope. But yeah, we started out in the home.
Mhm.
We set up the home as like a mini arcade and everything like that. We always spoke about wanting to welcome the community into Tekken House more, kind of give them a bit more of a vision of how we operate on a day-to-day basis. Um, if anybody has paid attention to our community, if you remember during the MLG run in 2010, uh, a lot of our ranking boards and stuff like that used to show up in blog spots, used to
Mhm.
show up on SRK and Zabatsu. And what people don't realize is we had that ranking system in different games, but mainly Tekken for years. And that became a thing. Like other communities started copying and pasting that. So the first season that we did with the TKN House tour, we wanted to bring that back, but we wanted everyone to be able to see it live week to week. So we will host it on Friday nights. Everybody in the community is welcome to come. Matter of fact, I think our first tour on average was about 116 total people and coming to the house in droves. So we had a ranking system or whatnot, um, of 3 tiers, and the people would come through and they would battle each other and earn their way up, until we were able to get
Mhm.
a top 8, and we developed a tournament like system. Once you got into that bracket quarter, we also had a LCQ for people to kind of get a buy-in into the money. We put our own money into the pot, as well as Fistigat. Shout out to Fistigat. Fistigat was a person that used to really kind of like sit in our stream
Uh-huh.
and enjoy what we were doing. He was serving in the military. He was in Japan at the time, and he was like, "Hey man, I want to support this." And he just threw $500 in. He was like, "Hey, put this in the pot. Whatever
Nice.
it is you all
Before
doing."
Maturino. Before Maturino.
Yeah, this before like before that concept even hit the scene. But he
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, here." He was like, "Whatever y'all doing, I want to be a part of it." And that actually helped us put together our first $1,000 tournament. Uh, it was so much fun to do, um, but it also was very eye opening,
Mhm.
um, to see like the drastic change in the fighting game scene, people's approach towards uh, training in the game, uh, talking crap to one another,
Yeah.
um, just literally sitting down in front of someone or beside someone to do battle.
Mhm.
Um, and we have a lot of guys who had never done anything competitive in their life. Like playing the game was that they never played a team sport,
Yeah.
didn't do dodgeball since elementary, any of that stuff.
Mhm.
So
And this is all
we,
at the
we
physical location you guys are doing it? This is all at the Tekken House?
yeah, we were doing it in East Point, off of Linwood. We did 3 seasons, like I said. The the third season was the team aspect. Um, Based upon the things I just mentioned, we wanted to do the team thing because
Was the
the
team like
idea.
3-on-3 or was it 6-6
Oh
6?
no, it was literally a 5-man team with reserves.
Oh wow, nice.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
And how many total teams was in the tournament?
uh 10.
Wow, that's a lot. That's 50 people.
Uh yeah, it was over 32 players. So yeah, it was 10 teams. Um we branched out because we knew we couldn't do it just at the house, and we needed to make modifications at the home.
Yeah.
We had been supporting 404 eSports, which is run by Greg Lancet, um, also former military, who opened up that business. Um, and
You
that
guys did stuff
arcade
at
was
VS Realm too, didn't you? You guys did stuff at VS
yes,
Realm? Yeah,
we
with
we
Chris?
have VS Realm. Well, some things happened behind the scenes in regards to VS Realm. They were kind of doing too much at one time, and we are never in the mindset of competing
Yeah.
with anyone. We knew that Data FGC was doing their thing. I'm cool with Marco. Marco used to come to my events when I used to host monthlies and stuff like that. Um, And at one point in time, you would have like Data doing something, then VS Realm would do something, and then I think you had I forgot what their name was, like combo breakers or whatnot.
Yep.
They were doing something. We didn't ever want to come in like stepping on people's toes. And with us being TKN house, people look at us as pretty loud, rambunctious anyway. You know, especially when I step in the building or when Poach Chop step in the building. So
Right.
we didn't want people to feel like when we come and do something that we're always trying to like
Overstep and
usurp.
stuff. You be loud. Yeah, I get you.
So
Like, no, this is the energy we got. This is how we doing it, man. This is us.
yeah.
All
So,
right.
and also I don't like to half-ass anything. You know what I'm saying? So anything that we do, if you check our production and everything like that, anything we do, we're trying to do it top of the line.
Yeah.
So if you see a Capcom event, if you see a standard Tekken event run by Mark Man and them or whatever, you'll see that our quality pretty much matches that. And we got a 2-person staff, Mike and myself. We build everything from the ground up. And like I said, sometimes we outsource here and there to get some layouts done and whatnot. Yoshi 005 helps us with that. Adam helps us with that. But it's mainly just Mike and myself.
Very impressive, man. And like I said, man, you guys been doing events for a while now. And so, what did the pandemic kind of do for you guys? Did you guys switch to virtual because of that, or you guys still focus on doing physical events?
I didn't want to do. Now the funny thing is, with doing TKN House Tour season 3, we still did that soon after the pandemic kind of like broke up a bit. And we had the mask requirements and everything like that, and we created our own mask, which you can find on the website. We designed a clothing line set up for the particular teams, and you can check that on the website. Also, you can still support that if you're interested in listeners. But yeah, so basically, with season 3, we wanted to do things that will bring our community closer together. We wanted to help the players find ways that will get them to train better, get them to better understand themselves and their approach when it comes to fighting games, mainly Tekken, but also get to know their community.
Right.
So when we developed the concept for the teams and everything like that, they will battle it out for points. The captains were chosen by the players themselves, everybody who was involved. So we did a voting system, a blind voting system. So let's say if Chemical is in there, if you're in there, if Mike is in there, Pochop's in there, all 90 people who originally signed up will be voting and saying that, okay, Chemical is a tier 5, Pochop's a tier 4, etc. And then whoever had the most votes for, those tiers, the highest tiers became the captains. So those people would be the captains, and then we had an actual physical draft that we did at 404 eSports. As a matter of fact, we ran the entire event at 404. We ran it over 4 months long.
Wow.
We did it every other week there. And we try to set it up as close to like a football schedule as humanly possible.
Right.
Where you would fight within your division. You would then go against teams swapping in the opposite division. We wanted to have an all-star weekend, but it didn't really take to the community as well. When I say the community, I mean the active players.
Yeah.
The people watching were cool with it. But you got to understand, like, this is a week-by-week thing, and the guys are spending gas money coming back and forth.
Exactly.
They're eating it. It costs to do it.
Oh, I know. And yeah, you gotta eat. Yeah, you gotta pay bills still. Yeah.
Get in. It was still, even though we didn't charge people to get in, we still put in the pot money ourselves, and we tried to open up the Matcherino so the people watching would be able to contribute, but also the merchandise that we were selling that represents for the team, we had it set up for the captains to be able to advertise on their own. Everybody's streaming now. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, for example, Abstract, one of the young players, he was a team captain. You heard me mention Poke Chop. Rail was a team captain. ATL Red was a team captain. So on your own streams, you could talk about the event. You can talk about your teammates. You could set up training sessions and stuff like that. And then you would be able to say, hey, you know what I'm saying? We got material and whatnot representing our team. So what we did was we took that material and we said, hey, this stuff is yours. Meaning when you go and you talk about the event, when you training with your people and blah, 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 you're advertising this stuff, you get a percentage of the sales.
Right.
So anything that you sell,
so almost like its own affiliate marketing program for the events.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jerseys, all of that. So that money, we wanted to make it where that money went to every single player, every single team. So you didn't play throughout the season, get to the end and come up short. My team got 5th place. I ain't getting nothing for it. No, you got sales.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I'm saying?
Exactly. You still have an incentive coming in for it. That makes sense.
You get that. So,
do you guys have any sponsors that came on board too?
We wanted to open people's eyes to it first.
Okay.
And what we were doing here in the community, and we have aspirations to expand this idea. We broke it down into actually 5 phases, and that was just phase 1. With the idea that Marco had in regards to the region-based tournaments that were going to be run sort of like a circuit.
Yeah.
We wanted to expand to that with the next 2 phases, and then the final 2 phases we wanted to move to a couple of other levels that I can't mention here, but basically we wanted to make it as big as humanly possible so we could bring in those sponsors. It was hard to do in the sense of trying to get, like the MomoCons and the Red Bulls and stuff like that paid because of the pandemic, and everybody was doing filler things at the time. We had a crap ton of online tournaments, a crap ton. And we didn't venture into that because we are innovators. We didn't want to copy what any and everybody else was doing. And technically, the first 2 TKN House tours were technically online tournaments, if you think about it, from the viewer aspect. Though it was live for us and the people were here, for you all watching, it's like an online tournament. You just get to tune in and you get to see the people there and they get to talk and blah, blah, blah. But it's still kind of the same thing. And then eventually ICFC was born, and that pretty much, took us off the board for if we really wanted to go that route. So we just stuck to the tour. We did that for the 4 months.
I know Team Spooky does a lot of good stuff too. They have their own circuit with Team Spooky.
Yes. I mean, for a while we didn't have, outside of TKN House, we didn't have a location that we could do these things and bring everybody in. So 404 eSports became a great spot. Now we did do some fundraiser for 404 eSports to keep them open during the pandemic and things of that nature. And 404 eSports actually had a couple of their own major tournaments, like Freaknik.
Yeah.
Greg put that together.
Wait, 404 is still open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. 404 is still open. 404 is still active and alive. Right now, Smash Community is dominating in the space over there. The KOF community is starting to matriculate over there. They did lose the Mortal Kombat community for a brief period in time. I don't know, outside the pandemic, I don't know why that is. But yeah, 404 is still strong. 404 is still doing its thing. So shouts out to Greg and everyone that supports that venue, because we need venues like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, but that's the thing though, especially with Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's esports is, kind of booming right now. But like I said, the money's going in certain areas; it's not going everywhere, and that's the thing I've just noticed with it.
True.
I guess.
I mean, that has a lot to do with us doing a bit more networking.
But then again, you got cats like Shin Blocker that still don't get the love he should be getting. Shin Blocker's been doing the final round since 20+ years. Like,
yes.
I feel like if you talk about anything esports, that man's name has to pop up. Period.
True. I mean, I used to work for Final Round for nearly 15 years, so I know how it rocks. I also know what it means to network. Sometimes you have to get out there even outside your own events, or
Yeah.
even outside of stuff that you got going on.
Mhm.
Which is why I respect Kimiko so much, because there's not a time that when she interacts with us that she's not telling us about something going on.
Yeah.
Like she's lit. If I don't know, which is very rare if I don't know, but if I don't know, then she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go do this, or we're associated with that, or I wanted to make you aware of that. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't even know. Okay, greatly
Right, because you get
appreciate me.
stuck in your world. That's why you get stuck in your world. You're
Yeah,
like, what?
and that's what I mean. Like you gotta network. Like you
Yeah.
gotta,
You gotta
though
travel other
Larry,
planets. You gotta travel other planets.
though Shin Blanca has done marvelous with Final Round, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us here, whether you work with them or not, a player here or whatever, a lot of people feel like more can be done. And I think that people like Greg, people like Chop and Shola do a very good job of putting their names in people's head.
Yeah.
So the bell gets rung when they talk about the community, especially when it comes to people like Shola. When they talk about a community here, his name is a staple. Like it makes it where people say, "Hey, you need to go talk to that guy." You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? If you want to make something happen. And when I hear Kimiko's name, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, so well, we got this event that we want to do over here with MomoCon and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well, I know somebody that you need to talk to, and her name is one of them. So I think that eventually, with some of the things that we got behind the scenes that we're going to be doing that's outside of the esports area,
Yeah.
that'll get our name back out there. Our name is kind of low now because we don't have any tournaments going on and stuff like that. And I think people don't fully understand that we are into entertainment as well. So outside of that, we do have podcasts, we do our own music as well. We have our artwork that we're putting together. As a matter of fact, my daughter, despite being 11 years old, she wants to start her own merchandise line, and she
Impressive.
draw her own material. We have people like Yele out in the community who does a lot of artwork for people. And hopefully we can get this comic strip released by the fall as I plan. But yeah, we do a lot of things behind the scenes in the community and stuff like that too. So we are outside of esports. So a lot of times people think, we're dead in the water or something like that because we're not at 404 heavy, or you don't see us on the streams and whatnot. It's only because we got our fingers dabbling in so
Right, you gotta
many
get
other
work
things.
done, man. I understand that more than anybody. Like sometimes you gotta put a pause on stuff so you can regroup and do it again. So I mean, I understand that completely. Speaking of regrouping and begin, how do you guys feel about the upcoming Street Fighter 6 coming out here pretty soon?
Um,
And then what
I'm
Capcom
with,
announced with the licensing thing, that really got me irritated.
I'm with a lot of people in regards to that, but I'm gonna be honest with you all.
Please.
Anybody listening to this, you do your homework before you really get angry,
Yeah.
so you can better understand not only where Capcom is coming from, but a lot of our figureheads in the community
Mhm.
and why their stance is so negative. When you look at, there's an OG in the community that created a show called OBS, On Blast Show. The name is James Fink.
Mhm.
Love him to death. James Fink, Triforce, All Caps and Corn have been talking about this very thing since
Oh yeah, years ago.
2005,
Yeah. Yep.
2006, something like that. It's
Yep.
2022. They all were having these discussions before 2010.
Correct.
As a tournament organizer, and like I said, I work with Final Round and stuff like that. I saw this coming in the aspect of them learning what TOs do, what the players want, and stuff like that, and then using the grassroots to pull all of that information
Yeah.
for free just so they could snatch it up, because that's what the big bucks companies do anyway. A lot of
Exactly.
times they don't have creative minds and whatnot, so a lot of times they just they plant seeds, here and there, and they snatch it up. But
Exactly.
from the business aspect of it, because I do run a legit business, it's smart. They worded it completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand, if you go back and check out OBS on Facebook, check out OBS on Twitch, you have to understand that they're in the business of making money. I mean, these licenses and stuff like that belong to them. And for a while, players, tournament organizers have been kind of getting off scot-free, being able to make money, you know what I'm saying, off of their game.
Yeah.
Whether it be streaming or whatever the case may be.
Right. But that's the whole purpose of growing that community because of that, because of those things though.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, of course.
Street Fighter got a resurgence because Ono and the people involved were like, the fighting game scene been keeping other games that we didn't give a damn about alive for a decade and a half because they didn't care about Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Nope. Or CVS3.
They didn't care about none of that stuff no more.
Nope.
They watched Evo in tournaments before that because even Evo used to have an Apex system on SRK.
Yeah.
And people don't even remember this, but Evo didn't have Third Strike and Alpha and stuff like that in its Apex system. So it was the grassroots tournaments like Larry's Final Round that if you had an urge to want to play CVS2 and Third Strike, you had to go to his event to do so on a grand scale and play the top level. Guys like Arturo and them were traveling on Greyhound.
Yeah, I remember. I used to go to Chicago and play in the arcades to get the tournaments going before it was being streamed.
But we were keeping their games alive. They weren't doing
nothing.
Capcom wasn't doing shit for their games during that run.
Yep.
And people, this is why I say do your own homework, people, because people don't understand that Marvel had got pulled from Evo once or twice, and it wasn't because of numbers and stuff like that. It was politics stuff in the background.
Yeah.
And that may or may not have had anything to do with Capcom. But Capcom has done things like this in the past. This is just on a grand scale because especially now with the fact that we are in the realm of social media, everybody streaming and blah, blah, blah.
Information spreads faster now, super fast.
Everybody's like, holy shit, that's what they're doing now. And also people are sponsored now, so they're making a little bit of residual income and things of that nature. They don't want to see that go out the window, even though this is a hobby, even though this is a passion, and some people crack jokes and say, you should be doing it for a living or whatnot. If you've been doing this for 6 years and you've been pretty dominant at it, somebody like Pump, you know what I'm saying, somebody like RD or whatnot, you don't want to see it get snatched up. And you also don't want to, how can I say this properly? You don't want to be the person after being in that status to be like, well, Capcom is doing some messed up stuff.
Yeah.
And I see it from the community aspect. And you definitely don't want to be the one to put yourself on the hook to say, well, all right, I'm still going to fuck with Capcom. Because now you stuck like Chuck because you're a player and you're good. Every tournament you go to, you have a chance at the pot.
Right.
And then.
But even that though, that's kind of one of the things though. I'm kind of, but my issue is that because right now the FGC, I feel like it's starting to grow where you can get those bigger pot bonuses, you can get those bigger wins because FGC is not making the money that freaking League of Legends and FPSs are making. And so it's like when you have companies like that that keep coming in and trying to hinder that, it's like, yo, they need to get to that 100,000. I'm making 6 figures plus a year off of just tournament scene alone. Like, but now you want to charge a fee for organizers that are reaching that money, but they're still not getting that coming in. I'm like, it can't be a double-edged sword when it comes to this thing with the FGC. It's like support or just keep doing your own tour and let us do this thing with this. If not, like, I mean, you don't see Riot shutting stuff down with League of Legends tournaments.
Here's the difference.
Yeah.
Capcom has a plan that they're obviously not telling everybody that they should. You know what I'm saying? But because I've been a part of Overwatch as a player and stuff like that, and you see what they do, you got to understand they develop a league that has rules.
And
that has a drafting system, a selection system in regards to players and stuff like that. They're doing backgrounds on them, etc. As long as fighting games have been around and have been around on a competitive level, look at what 2K did 2 years ago,
Yeah,
maybe 3 years ago.
NBA League.
In regards to establishing themselves, where now they're associated with a few of the NBA teams.
Mhm.
They have players that are making in between 28 to 35,000 a year
Yep.
off of playing 2K. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, they have had some outbursts on the
Exactly.
live set.
Exactly.
They've had some guys.
But that's the thing
go
about the FGC though. We love the shit talking. I love the shit talking. That's what makes the FGC the FGC. Like that's the best. FGC to me always has the best energy because of that. Like nothing like getting your ass beat and then getting shit talking after. It's fantastic.
But the problem is that's all. Everything that I just mentioned is orchestrated. It's all put together. The fighting game scene doesn't have that.
Right.
It's one of the big things that I've been trying to advocate for since just before Zaibatsu was dying out.
Yeah.
I created this group called the Council where I was talking to these other tournament organizers and stuff like that, mainly in the Southeast region, working my way up to the Northeast. But I wanted, after we did the MLG thing and MLG kind of tried to shut us down as a community,
Why?
they were like, "Oh, well, we saw some YouTube videos that ATL Tekken scene put out there or whatnot." And
they didn't like it or something.
It's so what happened was we were traveling and just bodying motherfuckers like we always do.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was the Four Horsemen, if it was Fab, GM and Real Law and them talking shit, but somebody said something along the lines of ATL don't be trying to money match. ATL don't be trying to really like go toe to toe or whatnot. And we came home and Big Boy, Clint, Big Man, and a few others were like salty. They were upset. Like, are they challenging us? Like, do they want to? Because like we ain't never back down from a challenge. And everybody went outside with that anger and start filming. And yes, it's foul language and stuff like that, which is pretty common for back then.
Yeah.
Not really socially accepted now.
But that's the thing, though. That's the kind of thing you want to kind of promote. Like for me, like when we do tournaments, I set them up almost like boxing matches where I want that, like the shit talking, but kind of like the professionalism up a little bit. Because I mean, that's what drives the energy. Because when it comes to fighting games and how people watch them, they can understand that before they understand watching a League of Legends match or a Smite match. They learn FGC real fast. Like, oh, that person does that, he does that, and they can pick up on it fast and on top of energy. So that's kind of, man, that's messed up.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair for us.
Right.
But you got to understand this is MLG.
Yeah.
Hot Pockets, Doritos.
Yep.
6 different beers. HyperX.
Yeah.
All of that. And you got this one entity, this one group of guys that's, opening up their car trunk and showing how real they are and
popping hoods.
You understand what I'm saying? So
like banging over Tekken.
we gotta protect all our interests. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. Like, so one day we came to I think this is when we went to Baltimore, and they had us by name. Like they were like Clint, blah blah blah, Maxwell, blah blah blah, and they had these separate contracts for us that in order for us to get into the venue to compete, that we had to sign.
Damn, that's real. That's
they were like, you can't be seen doing this, you can't be doing that. If not, we're gonna disqualify you from all future events.
Isn't that kind of going against freedom of speech though? I mean, that's just me, but yeah.
I mean, like I said, looking at it from the business side and what we did, not to go into too much detail,
right?
I would have had to do the same thing. Matter of fact, during the first TKN House tour, we had to have people sign certain waivers in regards to their likeness and stuff like that, because we had an incident and we had a player here who no longer is in our community. He moved, but he took what we had going on there that was like a behind the scenes issue and he bled it out to the internet. And you know how people are; they don't have to physically be there to draw their own conclusion,
Absolutely not.
what they thought it was, or what. So, and then also people stand on whatever their beliefs are that they conjure up in their head, and they say, "Oh, that's how you all are." TKN House, that's how you all are. Those guys react in the way that they reacted towards one another. That's how all of you all, the business is, etc. And that's not the case. That was just two individuals that had a spat or whatever, and people try to judge the entire community along those lines. Going back to MLG,
Yeah.
I can defend them in that sense of them saying, okay, we open the doors to fighting game, and we have this small package or this small group of people doing this. We can't have that. We can't be
Right.
associated with that. I totally understand,
It makes
because
sense.
it wasn't just some minimal, ish talk. It, for people looking at it that's trying to throw money, six figures, into something. You can't have that. Just
No.
imagine, you get a deal right now with your podcast. You know what I'm saying? And then you branch out, like we're associated with Spotify and blah blah blah. And then somebody come on here and do some Joe Rogan shit.
It goes back to those, we at BSN do not confirm or
Yeah, exactly.
right?
You gotta put that
The whole
disclaimer out there. Exactly.
But we keep it 100 on this podcast, though. We keep. I mean, I'm real big on freedom of speech. You can basically say whatever you want. Like it isn't like that's just us, because I mean this is just how we talk. It's BlerdSoup. But at the same time, it's like, yo, like you was wrong for saying that.
Yeah. But when people are watching and listening, do they really care? That is that they look at. I mean, like I said, Joe Rogan said the things that he said.
Yep.
And I don't agree with him. And then it went initially. It was people wanted to go after him because of the vaccine stuff and the anti-vax whatever, and they couldn't get him on that. And then it took a artist or whatnot to say, well, this is the reason why I don't. And then that opened up a whole nother door. And then it drew Spotify in, because then Spotify looks they look.
Well, it looks like something just happened, y'all, with the show. So right now, that's going to be season 2, episode 10 of the show. So I do apologize for that. Like something just happened, so we should return. But thank you for watching, everybody. Fortunately, we had something to stop up, so sorry about that.
Probably about to beat our community to the punch.
Yeah.
In regards to establishing a well-rounded system that fits how they want to market their game, as well as their pro tour. That's our fault as tournament organizers.
Yeah.
As I was alluding to earlier, I wanted for us as tournament organizers to be able to, for the major events, set up a legitimate rule set that went across the nation.
Right.
So therefore, when people went to Evo, when they went to NEC, when they went to Combo Breaker, when they went to CEO,
or
they
Final
went
Round,
to Brawl, etc. There's nothing different other than the capacity of people.
Exactly,
because
you got to get out the pool with. Yeah.
But the problem is, for years, we as organizers and stuff like that could not sit down with one another and hash this stuff out.
Yeah.
Talk about numbers and stuff like that and put this stuff together. Everybody cared about being a separate entity.
Yep.
Everybody,
it's my thing. It's my
money.
Yeah.
And I established this is my thing, blah blah blah.
Right.
So I would not be shocked if Capcom said, because they said Pro Tour. That's another thing. They said Pro Tour. They didn't say like tournaments in general. They said Pro Tour stuff. So if you want to be a part of the Pro Tour, you got to follow under these guidelines. though I don't fully agree as both a player and a tournament organizer, I could see them just saying,
I mean,
all
nothing's
right,
wrong
well,
with
we'll
having a
just make
term.
it where y'all can't host it at all.
I mean,
And
nothing's
we'll
wrong
just
with having a TOS though. I agree with having a TOS when it comes to events like that. That makes sense. I can agree with that. Like, yo, if you be part of this tour, these are the tournament servers to be a part of this tour. Like that, I'm down for that because you have integrity with each company and stuff like that. So, like you said, when you're in a business mindset, you listen to things like that because you got these different viewers that are watching. You reach out to these different people as well too. You have your sponsors to worry about. So yes, I get the TOS. But my thing is like when it comes to you guys doing TOs and different, I mean, running your own events and you're just building your community that you have that's locally or regionally, like you shouldn't have to go through pay like a $5,000 license fee to do that. That's wrong to me. But like I said, it's guided. Like it depends how much you guys make now. I'm like, why y'all in my money now? Like y'all, if you make over this, we need this. I'm like, really, Capcom?
And this is the thing.
Yeah.
When Capcom would send the people to our events, and we would have the stream set up, whether it be with Spooky, whether it be Funky P, whether it be us, Panda Gaming, or whatever. What you think they were doing with those representatives?
Keeping notes.
They were taking notes in regards to how we were doing shit.
Yep.
And they were like, this is what this ballroom costs. This is what this exhibit hall costs. This is what they're paying, you know what I'm saying? And they just said, we can do better than that. We can do that within our own. We have a staff of blah, blah, blah that does this. We got to stop. And I was highly against just letting them just walk in for free.
Yeah.
And just take B-roll footage and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So that's what the rules say now. The rules basically say when you do stream on a pro tour and everything like that, like you're not even going to be able to fully be an individual tournament. Correct. You're going to be Capcom, blah 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 blah. That's going to be 85% of their stuff.
Yep.
And then there's going to be a little thing that says "Final Round" down
there. Exactly. That's messed up. But speaking of which, though, with the new Steam Deck coming out, you think that's going to change a lot what goes on with tournaments? Instead of bringing the PS4s, everything's going to be done on the Steam Deck because you can attach everything to it and run it?
I hope not.
Okay.
But I can see that being like a separate entity for a while.
Yeah.
Until just like we wanted, especially in Tekken, during Tekken 6, we wanted to convert the PC.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily feasible because everybody didn't have $2,000 to build, a PC.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could potentially be a part of our fighting game market. I don't think that there will be a massive takeover just yet in regards to something like that. But then again, many of us felt the same way in regards to online tournaments. Like if the pandemic was to end this December, right? And then KIT started to do their tournament in January and Big E did whatever, you know what I'm saying, afterward. Would there really be people coming out in droves to the monthlies again when they can still sit at home and do
nothing and be good?
A Namco ICFC, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to say it's far-fetched, but people would lean more towards that because some people are not aware of the environment, and some that are, they're not comfortable with it. When we had the Secret Garden tournament here, shout out to Abstract and Pleasant Man, when they held that here, even people who were just watching were like, they weren't complaining, but they mentioned it like, man, I don't think I could be in a tournament and be playing where I got a guy, you know what I'm saying, yelling from 2 seats a row saying you trash and blah blah blah. Or I couldn't imagine being in these little small chairs and y'all play with arcade sticks. I play with Pat. Like there's a lot of people who just are not good with change. So true. Being at home in the comfort of your dwellings is good enough for them. Even though they still kind of want to compete, and I say kind of, they want to compete on the surface level. But I think the Steam Deck is actually a pretty solid idea. I saw that there were some issues with trying to get them out and everything like that.
I'm still waiting to get mine. I pre-ordered, still waiting for mine to come in. I'm like, yo, I pretty
Oh
understand that.
yeah.
I'm the first round, y'all. I'm on my 512. But speaking of which, like I said, we're coming towards the end of the show. And one thing always got to ask is, because it is called BlerdSoup, what is your type of your favorite ramen or soup that you enjoy?
Fudge. Level 5. It's a pork belly I get from it's a place called AKU ramen. It's over in Duluth area by Rush
Of
Hour.
course, Gwinnett.
Yeah.
All the best ramen in Gwinnett.
Let's write that down. We need to go
Right.
there.
Hey, I order that at work twice a week. Level 5
Is
spicy.
that the heat?
I love the heat. It sucks though. The location is not going to be doing. They're not going to be serving bok choy with it anymore. So that kind of sucks. Yeah. They moved to, what did they move to now? It's not spinach. I forgot what they moved to as a sub. But yeah, I get my boiled egg and everything like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Have my own salad on the side and things of that nature. My daughter loves to get ramen from it's a place sort of like Iron. I think it's called Iron Age or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so she likes to get stuff from there as well. But yeah, that's my thing.
So lastly, what's next for Tekken House? What are you guys going on next? What's the future of everything before we cash out?
As I mentioned before, in the fall, I'm hoping that we plan to release this comic strip. The comic strip just consists of stories from us, our Tekken House family over the years, stuff that y'all have never heard or seen about, whether it be us traveling, us at the house gaming, individual players as well, and we just want to give people, what I'm saying, like the more human side of us, um, with these or whatever, but also, make you laugh. It's going to be some realistic things that y'all probably have been through, what I'm saying, as men and women out there. But hopefully we have that in the fall. I plan on coming back to the streaming community in about 2 weeks. I had to build a new PC and everything like that.
Mhm.
So we're going to have a full schedule between Mike and myself. We have expanded the network as well. The TKN House network now doesn't just consist of myself and Mike. It does consist of Poke Chop, Shola, streaming from the ATL Koreans channel,
Mhm.
as well as Average Video Game Joe. If you all have heard of him or haven't heard of him, he is the creator of Scrub Dojo, which he used to host some of the biggest online tournaments for novice to intermediate
Yeah.
players in the community. Um, as well as Yoshi, as you heard me bring up, they're all a part of the network. They're affiliates, you know what I'm saying? They have their own channels and whatnot. Um, but they're all a part of the family, so you're going to be able to tune in to all of us, you know what I'm saying, throughout the rest of the year. It's going to be a bit more organized, not just presentation wise, the stream schedule and everything like that. So you can check out the website, which is tknhouseent.com, for those updates. In about a month, there's going to be a flood of new content on the website.
What
When
about
you
new
go
merch?
there,
Got new merch coming at all?
oh yeah, that's going to be on there as well. So when you go to the website, you'll see in the top log area, as you're scrolling down. I tell people all the time, and Mike and myself designed the website. So please go to the website and tinker around, like literally click things. You won't believe that when you highlight something with the mouse, you'll see something bounce or jump or flash or whatever the case may be. We did that on purpose because we wanted you all to come to the website and enjoy yourself, get to know us, get to know the community, you know what I'm saying, and have fun doing so. But we have a crap ton of content on there. We got, I think it's close to 18,000 hours of content
Mm.
on
Wow.
the website, and that is stuff before we even got to season 3. So you go there, you'll be able to check out the merchandise store. In about another month or so, we're going to actually be revamping We're going to be adding a crap ton of more content and everything like that. And we're going to be adding more community information. On the website, we have a community portal where you can go to the fighter select screen and you'll see a list of players, just like you go to the character select screen on
Right.
your favorite video game.
Yes,
You
sir.
can go there and click your particular player from our community, and you can get to know he or she. We have podcasts under them. We have detailed information in regards to their player bio and stuff like that.
That's dope.
So you can check those things out. We try to be as innovative as humanly possible here. We got Player of the Month uh, that is posted onto the website as well. I think that's a little bit behind though, so I need to go in there and look. But we've had about 4 Player of the Month. Most recently, Akumu, as you all know, won KIT, Genghis Don, K Dash, and Rail. Those are our most recent Player of the Months. But yes, like I said, also you can check out podcasts and music. There's 3 music pages on there. Mine, Mike's, and D's as well. He's actually one of our fellow Tekken players here or whatnot. He's a producer. So you'll be able to check that out in the multimedia area. Also, we have other pages for those that we're affiliated with. You're going to see Final Round page on there, 404 page on there. We will be adding the ATL Koreans page. We will be adding the Scrub Dojo page as well.
This
So
is
yeah, just go
fantastic,
to the
man.
website, man. Just check it out. Just tinker around with some stuff.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Once again, y'all, this is season 2, episode 10 of the podcast. Lord Iceman from Tekken House, Kimiko. Once again, we got the big expo coming up with BESN Community May 6th through 8th. So make sure you head over to BESNXC.org to check it out and register for that event because, like I said, it's a award show for eSports, gaming, technology, digital art, and media. So check that out. And once again, it's been a great time. We'll see you on the next soup. Take it easy.